how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Terror Train. This is from 2022. It's a remake of the original Jamie Lee Curtis movie and was put out on Tubi. The movie was directed by Philippe Gagnon and stars Robyn Alomar, Nadine, Bhabha, and Matias Garrido, and a remake of Terror Train, especially coming out on Tubi of all places. I get being a little skeptical of that. I mean, I really was myself, but the thing is, the more I think about it, Terror Train is one of those that it's good and I love it, but when you watch it, you can honestly acknowledge that there is room for improvement. Out of Jamie Lee Curtis's original 5 horror films, Terror Train is probably at the bottom, and there are a few things that I myself would do differently if I were remaking it. Strangely though, this movie is actually a very, very faithful remake, and I do like a lot of that. I think when you do remakes and sequels, it is a fine balance between keeping what made the old one so good and putting something new into it, and I feel a lot of remakes really go off the rails, no pun intended, but this one kept a lot of it the same. The base plot is pretty similar. There's a prank gone wrong, and I won't spoil what the prank is, but it's the same thing as the original, and I really thought they would have toned that down, but no, it's the same gross, terrible prank, and these kids a few years later are going to try to move on, and they're having a party aboard a train. One of the bigger changes is this time around, it's a Halloween party instead of a New Year's party, and to be honest, I can totally get behind this change, because why was everyone wearing Halloween costumes on a New Year's party in the original? I don't know. Having it be Halloween makes a ton more sense. And a lot of the costumes are even the same. The monk's there, the lizard man's there. Sadly, Groucho Marx isn't there, and he was one of my favorite costumes from the original. He's a creepy clown this time around, and a creepy clown is fun. I still would have rather had Groucho though, but whatever. It's Halloween, and one of the kids gets killed, and everybody just thinks it's a wacky Halloween prank. But no, there is a killer on the loose, and the killer is going to be killing people and swapping costumes. This leads to one of Terror Train's biggest strengths. You don't know who the killer is, or where he is in the room, because you don't know what costume he's going to be wearing. The thing is though, in the original, you can really track where the killer is because you see the kills he does and you can kind of follow the costumes. I really wish they had played it up. I really wish they made it more of a mystery, that anyone at the party could have turned and been the killer all of a sudden. But no, it's, again, pretty much the same. And the kills are also pretty much the same as well. And the original Terror Train kills weren't the best. That's another element that I would have kicked up a notch if I was doing a remake. And no fault of this movie's, but I did just come from seeing Terrifier 3. Yeah, we really gotta kick those up a notch nowadays. We need some cool kills. And they're okay in this one. And strangely, the movie does keep a lot of the original's flaws as well. We get on all this talking and character drama, and I'm like, gee, where's the killer? When's the killer gonna show up? He's been off screen for a while. So it copies the slow moments as well. I will say with the kids, they try to make them like 80s kids, and I really wish they had just set the movie in the 80s, because kids today, I mean, I'm not super plugged into what the youth is doing, but I don't think they act exactly like kids did in the 80s. I think they're different. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know if I would want to see the Terror Train Riz party, or whatever they're saying now, but I feel like you probably should have just set the movie in the 80s if you were gonna keep them acting like this. And yeah, there are a few modern lines thrown in to kind of, put some context to all this, or, placate a few things, or address modern issues, and those kind of did stand out like a sore thumb because of how the kids were acting. But I totally get it. I will say I did like how they addressed the main girl handling how her friends are acting. The idea that her friends are rowdy frat people and kind of terrible people, but she's still friends with them, and she has to really think, why is that? Is it because she sees some side to them? The idea that, you know, they may look bad, but that they're just playing and they really are good people deep down? Or maybe it's because she needs their resources. The fraternities and the sororities are really plugged in, and a brotherhood can really help you out. Is she just excusing bad behavior to get something that she needs? It's an interesting thought, and I do like that they explore it. Why am I friends with people who would do a horrible prank like that? And why did I let myself get talked into being involved in it? Some interesting stuff right there. Another thing is they do have the magician this time around, and I do like that the magician is interwoven into the plot a lot more. You know, the idea that he's a suspect, they really do give you things like him committing some social faux pas, saying maybe it would be better if the whole train just crashed and killed everyone on board. He's a much more viable suspect. However, if I was a detective on the train, I still wouldn't really have looked at him too hard. Just not good enough as a red herring. And that being said, he does a lot of his same tricks from the original too, the disappearing thing, he has a rose, and I don't know, I get watching the old one that some people say, wait, how long are we watching David Copperfield do magic tricks? And I get that, but it was something charming about the old one, just watching David Copperfield do magic tricks. And I know that the magic tricks in the new movie rely much more on editing, so not quite as impressive there. And I think that's a thing. I think that's really what it comes down to with the two movies. The new Terror Train is better produced, it's a lot more thought out, and it's shot a lot cleaner and more professionally. Technically, it's probably a better movie, but which one will I reach for if I have the choice between the two? It's going to be the original 100% of the time, and I think that's the thing, is no matter how clean and how professional you get, the original was just more authentic, it was more real, it was more boots on the ground. I mean, in the original, I felt like I was on a train, much more in this one, where I kind of felt like I was on a soundstage. The people in here seem more naturalistic, and you really just felt like you were watching a time capsule from the 80s, and by the time you got to the end of the movie, you really were on board, no pun intended again, but you really were on board, and you really were much more on the edge of your seat. The new one is good, I just much prefer the old one. I will say, and I'm trying to not spoil anything, the things that they change the most are more towards the end of the movie, and there's a big clue, if you've seen the original, that things are going to be changed towards the end. I won't say what it is, but I actually think the ending changes were some of the more interesting changes that they did, and I think they had a really good idea with what they were doing, and I think that's really where the movie could have shined more. Keeping the original in mind, paying good tribute to that, but being just a little bit new and trying something just a little bit different and being just a little bit more creative. And I think with the way the ending goes, that could have pointed to something really interesting if we had just gone in and been a little more creative, and maybe we could have pulled something better. I don't know. It's cleaner and more professional, but in turn less authentic, and I do wish that it moved faster and had better kills, and I really wish we played up the mystery of the killer and what costume he was in and where he could be a lot more. I just think that it did a good enough job, but really you had the potential to do something amazing, and it didn't quite live up to that. It's totally fine, it's worth a watch, and it's a Halloween movie this time around, so why not watch it? But I'm still always going to go with the Curtis version. You know, it's the classic. Anyway though, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click right there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist here. Have a good day now.